The story begins with someone shouting that they hate this. At that moment, a blue aura seems to return to the body. The boy opens his eyes and suddenly rises from the bed. Obviously out of breath, you can already imagine what happened. He's wondering if he hadn't died and why his body feels warm again. Besides that, his hand had no calluses as if it were 10 years ago. That's when he looks around and realizes he's in the university dormitory. Immediately, he grabs the pillow, takes his phone and sees a girl dancing. He unlocks the bed and notices there are no scars on his face. You already know what happened. Yep, the bastard reincarnated. Right before the apocalypse starts. He remembers what happened when he became the 10th war god of Dragon City. 2 other war gods from the neutral field invited him to party. However, in the middle of the conversation, suddenly a high-level zombie broke in. In the moment he was fighting the creature, he was struck from behind, and the 2 Dan war gods helped the creature kill him. Then a girl approaches and asks Lindsay if he liked the gift he received from her family. On the ground, he asks why she is there. That's when he found out that demons had made a deal with the Lee family. The girl named Yo Jing was the prettiest in school, and he was always happy to have her by his side. What he didn't know was that she was only with him under orders from the young master of the Lee family. They used him as much as they could, and when he started getting too strong, they finished him off. This was after he helped the Lee family become one of the 3 biggest in Dragon City. But now he's back in the present. With the combat power he had, he could easily have gotten rid of the Lee family. However, he never imagined he'd be betrayed like that. But now he's back at the moment when she was still just his girlfriend. Then he receives a message on his phone. Yo Jing says she's going to give some lessons to children, so she won't be able to celebrate his birthday with him. However, poor Lindsay already knows that at this time the only lesson she was giving was through the touch of the Lee family. On that date, he received a video gift that was unforgettable. Man, it seems our boy was a major cuckold. He says it's fine, but that first he wants to meet her in the shed behind the school because he misses her. She says she'll go because it's his birthday, but it has to be quick. He knows that the guy she's involved with, called Lai Hao, seems to want revenge against him because of things his father did long ago. On that day in the past, he had planned a lot of things to celebrate with Yo Jing. However, what he got was a video that humiliated him. But now the rascal is reborn and won't let that tragedy happen again. Outside, everyone was wondering why the sky was red. Obviously, no one suspected the apocalypse was coming. But Lindsay knows that at 7 in the evening is when it would all begin. And the people there don't know that very few of them would survive. He then heads to the school's shed. He angrily opens the door. At the back of the room is Yo Jing, sitting on a chair. She says he has to be quick because she has to teach the kids. But he already pulled the blade from up his sleeve and says not to hurry as he's going to deliver a little gift now. Slowly, he starts getting closer, and she tells him to spit it out because otherwise she's leaving as she has better things to do. But suddenly, he grabs her by the throat. Now desperate, she calls him a crazy psychopath and tells him to let her go. But he says that on the 16th of March, she spent 53,000 at a modern hotel in Modu. Right after, on the 29th, she spent another 109,000 yuan. Confused, Yo Jing keeps asking what he's talking about. He continues talking about dates and amounts she's been spending. That's when she starts realizing that these hotel names all seem familiar. He then says that on the 13th of April, she spent 409,000 at the Magic Bar. That's when she realizes these were all records of the dates she met with Lai Hao. At that moment, she asks him to wait a moment that she's going to explain everything. He responds that he's very eager for that explanation. He grabs her phone and unlocks it. There's a message from Lai Hao saying she's excited to meet him and telling her that the fool believed she was going to teach the children. Obviously, that's all Lindsay needed to see. He then suddenly releases her, puts her on the ground, and plays a video. Before the video starts, he says Lindsay is the foolish boyfriend and congratulates him. A second later, the video says exactly the same words, wishing him a happy birthday. In the video, she asks why he believed that a beauty from the school like her would fall in love with a loser orphan like him. Terrified, Yo Jing starts wanting to know how he already knew the whole message before hearing it. Lindsay keeps repeating the message. She says that if it weren't for Lai Hao, she never would have gotten involved with trash like him. The poor thing is going crazy. She didn't send that video to anyone, so how does he already know? She then says in the video that if it weren't for him, she never would have gotten involved with Lai Hao. Then she thanks the loser. That's when she realizes everything had been revealed. Lindsay just keeps staring. If the next question is whether she isn't curious about how he knows all of this, she stands still for a second and pushes his arm, telling him to go to hell. However, Lindsay says that's exactly where she belongs. And man, I thought he was going to forgive her, but the boy doesn't go easy at all. The girl turns into a bowling ball and falls to the ground like a piece of trash. With that, our guy lets out a sigh. He falls to the ground, kneeling, emotional because it took him 10 years to achieve this. He starts laughing, saying he was deceived for 10 years, but he finally did it. She had paid the price for everything she did to him. But obviously, that wasn't enough. Now it was time to kill that damned Lai Hao who's hiding in the Lee family. And that's when the famous overpowered system shows up in the apocalypse. He looks at his phone and sees it's 6:05. It was supposed to all start at 7, so why was the system already showing up? The system only says it's there to provide a better gaming experience. Some digital circles begin appearing around him, and then the system tells him to request his first ability. Not just an ability, but actually a super hack, What he receives is the absolute item drop. This makes it so that any creature he kills has a 100% chance of dropping an item. Considering that everyone else only has a 1% chance, this was clearly overpowered. While others would have to kill hundreds of zombies for everyone he killed, he gets stronger. It was so good that he even asked the system if he can trust this. The status window activates and it clearly shows his super hack is turned on. At that moment, he's already excited about how strong it is. The guy who translated this must think I'm a magician to read this stuff upside down, you bastard. But what matters is that our dear Lin Z is pumped to destroy the Lei family. The only problem is that he's just a lonely orphan, while those guys have a giant family. Not only do they have tons of soldiers, but also some secret techniques. Not to mention, he's always wanted to know exactly why the Li family hated him. The plan before was to gradually get stronger without anyone knowing and only then attack that family. But now, with these hacks, he won't have to wait so long. With that, he leaves the shed and our boy doesn't forgive his waifu. No, sir. The kid got his revenge in 2 chapters. Outside, everyone's finding the sunset beautiful, talking about how they need to make a heart and take a nice photo. Our boy laughs, saying they have no idea that soon enough they'll be eating each other and not in a good way. But the rascal is heading to the Love Hotel. He gets there, asks for an hour in a room, 3 bottles of water, and 5 buns. The guy says okay and gives him a price of $40. Our boy says to send the talented and hardworking number 3. Already in the room, he knows there are 5 minutes left for everything to start. He remembers that in his past life, this number 3 became a zombie boss. Luckily, he managed to finish her off, and that's how he began to evolve. Obviously, this is the best option, so he's going to repeat it, especially considering the system's talent. Someone at the door says number 3 wants to enter for the service. She comes in, all dangerous, saying he's handsome, so it's going to be worth it. But she stops for a second and is startled. She approaches our boy and asks why he's wearing so many clothes over his epidermis. She's not a traveler, but she already wants to explore the mountains and asks what he's waiting for. But our Sigma boy tells her to take a shower first. As soon as she leaves, he notices she has that rotten zombie smell. Before the apocalypse began, you could tell who was going to turn just by that smell. The trap approaches the door. Inside, she's telling him to stop stalling, that she knows he wants some water fun. But our boy drags it out, so she turns off the shower. Right at that moment, his phone rings, signaling it's 7 o'clock. In the same second, her body begins to be infected. Her pupils dilate and she starts getting green skin, already making those classic zombie noises. Our boy opens the door and sees her transforming. She reacts immediately and turns toward him, running to disarm him. But with 10 years of experience, he just gives 1 strike to the neck. The poor thing's head hits the floor. The system even shows the window saying she's dead. He lets out a sigh. And here comes the system, right, my boy? With that, he finally receives the welcome to the apocalypse game. Once it's activated, there's no stopping it, and he has to find a way to evolve. Zombies have excellent hearing but terrible vision. 80% of the unlucky ones instantly became zombies. To help him out, the system offers more tips. Killing creatures would help him level up, which would allow him to gain new abilities, attributes, and talents. Besides that, every creature he killed had a small chance of dropping an item of various ranks. Furthermore, all scientific advances and human weapons were going to be useless, so it was best not to even try using them. Not to mention, it would be impossible to communicate with any kind of human-made device. If you got bitten, you turn into a zombie. Moreover, it was best not to go out at night since the zombies were much stronger. The system says it's given enough tips and that they'll probably only talk again in about 7 days. The last tip the system gives is that for now, the zombies are all pretty weak, so it was good for him to take this chance to evolve a lot. Lastly, the system wishes him good luck and tells him to enjoy the game. A window then pops up for him to enter a name. Our dear Lin Z decides to use the name Jia Yi. It must have something to do with revenge from what the guy said. With that, he is congratulated for killing a zombie and receives 1 experience point and 1 gold coin. Man, wasn't that supposed to be the zone boss? Besides that, he was the first player to kill a zombie and earns the First Blood achievement. In his past life, he didn't get any of these global achievements. But in this one, he's already gotten the first. The system announced to everyone that Jia Yi was the first person in the world to kill a zombie and earn that achievement. A blonde girl named Ji Yao is shocked that she hasn't even finished reading the message and people are already killing. And another guy named Gao Ji says it's crazy that someone is faster than him. In this system, you can evolve strength, mind, physique, and agility. He's impressed by the base stats and already knows it must be because of that achievement. Besides that, the prestige stat is used so that in the future, you can get more discounts and buy different items. And the first talent also makes his first attack after midnight every day deal double damage. After going through all this system stuff, he decides to check the loot. From the first zombie, he got a meditation necklace that gives 1% more mind and 10% more recovery. His eyes light up, seeing that the 100% drop really works. It seems the hack is separate from the system, since it warns him to be careful, so the real system doesn't find out he has it. But seeing the necklace, he knows that for now, he needs to get as strong as possible. And the best place to start cleaning up is this building. He then starts walking down the hallway. Something catches his attention. There's a racket coming from one of the rooms. Slowly, he approaches, turns the handle, and inside he finds a transformed guy. Obviously, this is a zombie of a guy who went to the gym, so it's a bit stronger. But for him, it's still extremely weak. He dodges the first attack, ducks under the second, and finishes it by going straight for the throat on the third. However, even after being struck, the creature still tries to charge at him, and the guy grabs its face, but he dodges with a quick spin. With that, the second zombie was killed. However, our boy is sad that he didn't manage to kill it with just one attack. As always, the 100% drop comes, and there's another little box. Inside, there was a card that was a voucher for cooked steak that, when activated, the food appears in front of him. Obviously, it wasn't very rare, but it wasn't bad to have food either, so he stores it in his inventory. He approaches a suitcase on the floor and takes out a photo of the guy with his daughter. Seeing that the guy had an axe, you could tell he was a mechanic. He checks room 208 and then 207. He doesn't find anything and heads to the door of room 206 and kicks it in. He shouts that it's time to clean up, but he's confused by what he sees. The couple was so eager that even as zombies, they continued their fun. Our boy even closes the door, saying he forgot the activities of that place. But he opens it again and says it's crazy they're doing that even as zombies. The angry zombie lunges at him. He dodges, saying he wasn't trying to spy. The big guy keeps coming at him. He says he's too arrogant for someone so weak and delivers a blow to the head, hitting him right in the eye. The other one tries to come from behind, but the boy has swag and kills without even looking. 2 more experience points and 2 more gold coins. And best of all, 2 more loot boxes. Now the rascal realizes that this thing really works. In his past life, 100 zombies were equal to a bottle of water. While in this one, nothing is better than having luck on your side. He receives 2 cards that activate an ability that allows him to detect movements within 10 meters. Since he's in a place full of rooms, he uses it right away. Then someone climbs to the 2nd floor, saying that Baster is making too much noise. Tells him to kneel down or he'll get smacked like a son. But Lindsay easily dodges. And if you think he's going to let that punch go for free, you're very wrong. The chubby guy spins around, telling him to stop dodging and start begging for forgiveness. Our boy says it would have been better if he had turned into a zombie because at least that would have given him some experience. It's a pity, but he had to end it now. What a ruthless guy. He paints the corridor red. Still a psychopath, he says that in the apocalypse, you can't leave loose ends. And the reason for this death was the guy being so weak. He starts going to various rooms, knocking on the doors, asking to be let in. Obviously, no one opens, so he goes to another and says the delivery has arrived. But none of that is working. As he approaches one door, he hears a disgusting sound, and he gets excited, saying there's a zombie in there. He shoulder barges the door open and finds a big guy already transformed inside. He tries to land a hit, but this one is agile and manages to dodge. The zombie tries to claw at him, but he ducks. Taking advantage of being on the ground, he pulls off a capoeira move. With the zombie's arms raised, he slashes its throat. With that, another one is down. As always, he gives another item. This time, he had earned a liquor. With that, he continued rummaging through the rooms. Eventually, he found one for himself since it wasn't a good idea to go out at night. He took off his jacket, and who would have thought, our boy is fully leveled up. The system notified him that he needed 6 more experience points to reach level 3. The problem was that when he looked at his phone, he saw that 8 o'clock was approaching, and the zombies would evolve, causing him to miss the chance to level up. Knowing how dangerous it would be to survive the night without that, he rushed out looking for 6 more zombies. In the shed, he saw a message from girl number 3 that would solve the problems. If there's a number 3 and he's already killed another, that means there's one more. Since zombies had good hearing, there was an easy way to find them, by hammering until they came to him. He then hears a sound in a room at the back. He enters, and inside, the room seemed empty. But then, from one of the vents, he starts hearing a noise, and he says it's crazy that they hid so quickly. On the stairs, there are 2 zombies trying to climb up. However, they have poor control over their bodies and end up falling off. With that, one smashes into the other like 2 idiots. Our boy feels sorry for their hard work, but for him, what mattered was something else. He quickly goes down and finishes off the girl. At that moment, another one comes from behind, but easily he turns and finishes another one. 2 more experience points, and now the problem is that his knife is starting to get dull. But look at that golden glow coming in to give him that little item for sure. He receives a horizontal cutting sword from the Tang Dynasty, as well as 2 delicious buns. The sword gave him 1 more strength point and even removed 10% of the target's defense. He knows that soon these weapons won't be worth anything, but for now it's great to have something like that. More water is stored in his inventory. 10 minutes remain before the real madness began. With no other choice, he had to take a risk on the streets. As soon as he opened the door, he found some poor sap who was about to be sent to the afterlife. The zombies noticed him right away and started running toward the hotel. But at level 1, they were still dumb and bumped into the door. The others came from behind and ended up tripping like fools. In his past life, he spent the first day drinking and hiding out of fear. He only fought the level 2 zombies, which were much smarter. But in this life, he got the perfect chance. In 1 second, with a new katana, he wiped out the entire group. For the start of the game, the quality of that weapon was excellent. With those zombies taken down, he advanced to level 3 and received another attribute point. Then he heard another zombie sound. Another one approached, and he realized that this one seemed a bit smarter. Or maybe not that smart because she walked right into the sword. But at least it was worth it, as she dropped a skill book. Then his alarm went off. At 8 p.m., something had arrived. In the same second, he felt something and immediately stepped back. An explosion occurred at the hotel's entrance. It was another level 1 zombie, but now affected by the power of the night. The system tells him to be smarter with time because now everything had become more dangerous. He knows that this zombie will continue getting stronger for the first minute. And since he knows this, he has to finish it before it follows him into the room. He goes in for a full-force strike, but even with the upgraded sword, it gets stuck. He puts his other hand on it to try to push it through. But man, the zombie exerts force and pushes it out. Our boy has to retreat immediately. And the worst part is now he only has his small axe left. He's not crazy enough to get close, so he throws it like a boomerang. Man, it gets lodged right into the damn thing. While the creature is still distracted, he gets closer to grab the katana. He quickly pulls it out and slashes. The creature is already covered in cuts, but it's still intact. It stares at him and starts running toward him again. A second of silence for the artist who was fired by Chapter 10, because the art style had completely changed. But we're still continuing from the same moment. Our boy steps back and swings again, hitting the neck. Finally, the damn thing falls to the ground. At least these zombies are drawn better than the others. Our boy begins collecting all the items, especially since he can't be seen by anyone else. After 8 p.m., zombies are at least 50% stronger. He starts piling the bodies at the entrance, afraid that more creatures might approach, especially since he made a lot of noise, so there's a good chance others will come. He activates some sort of sentry, which will turn red as soon as a creature appears. With that, he can finally relax and decides to take a bath. It's time to open the 4 boxes he had received. A night ring, a bottle of mineral water, and 2 eyes of approval. He can't get used to this life of luxury, considering how much he starved in his past life. Especially the night ring, which increases agility by 1 and reduces his presence by 30%. It was finally time to take a look at what skill he'd get from that book. The system congratulates him and informs him that in this world, anyone can have unlimited skills. But the reason for that is because it's extremely difficult to obtain one of these books. Usually, between levels 10 and 80, people typically receive 3 skills. And the worst part is that many of these skills don't even suit the people who get them. In the past world, the guy known as the God of Skills had 25 after 10 years of fighting in the apocalypse. In his final moments, he had reached 10 skills and was stronger than 99% of people. But the most important thing about all this is how good the skill you receive is. And then comes what Lindsay got, the boomerang slash skill. Basically, he can throw his weapon, dealing 120% damage. He's excited since the best skills are always the damage-dealing ones, even though for now it has a long cooldown. As his mind attribute increases, that will decrease. The system asks if he wants to learn the skill. Obviously, he accepts immediately, and he decides to test the skill. But as soon as he stands up, his stomach growls. It's better to eat something first. Luckily, his inventory is full of options, so he eats, saying that this food tastes like something from a 5-star restaurant. Look at the boy organizing everything. The table is even clean. Looking at the movie, he knows that in this life he's going to have to do things differently, or he'll fail again. He opens the system and grabs a pen. On a sheet of paper, he writes Warrior and Mage. The difference between the classes is that when you level up, the points go to different stats. For example, a mage, every time they level up, gains 2 mind attributes. Additionally, there are secret professions like Ghost, which 1 in 100 people usually receive. In the past life, without much knowledge, he managed to get it, so it probably won't be that hard this time. And in this world, you usually activate the profession system when you reach level 10. The Ghost profession specializes in assassination and adds points to strength and agility. He begins writing down all the classes he remembers from the people who became war gods. Looking at the stats, he wonders which would be the best option. He then puts 3 more points into strength and 2 into agility, and starts trying to recall all the times he encountered a paladin knight. He also remembers a diamond item. With that, he spends the night trying to recall all the treasures and experiences that could help him. The scene shifts to a mansion. Someone throws a vase against the wall. A blue-haired guy says he can't calm down with the whole planet being ruined because of Yo Jing. Because of her delay, the material hadn't worked out, and he won't be able to finish off that damn Lin Z. Not to mention to him, his damn apocalypse is nonsense. The butler asks him to calm down as making so much noise could attract zombies. But Lai Ho just asks if it wouldn't be better to send that trash Lin Z to meet his father already. The butler knows the boy is trying to eliminate any future competition for the position of family leader. The problem is that with the start of this apocalypse, he needs to control his personality or he'll suffer. Lai Ha then asks if his father's team of mercenaries isn't coming to find him. Once they arrive in the city of Amodu, they can meet up with those bastards. Later, he's going to find that damn Yo Jing, even if she's dead, and bring her corpse to make that damn Lin Z suffer. The butler says all of that would be possible since the mercenaries were trained to obey him. Imagining the scene, he gets all excited. Meanwhile, our boy is coughing. Already prepared, he jumps out of the hotel. Outside, as expected, it's full of zombies. But in daylight, they're still much weaker. He draws the katana and uses boomerang slash. This way, He kills several creatures in the city until he finally reaches level 4. For that bunch of level 1 zombies, it was all too easy for him. Not to mention the combination of the skill and that sword was perfect. The only problem is always the high cooldown, which is making him waste a lot of time. He then decides it's time to do the most important thing. Obviously, opening all the boxes he had received. In one of them, there was an attribute item. Actually, this story is crazy because what it contained was a bronze item that upgrades equipment. Lindsay gets excited, saying this is useful. He immediately uses the item on his sword. With that, it becomes a Tang Sword +1. Now instead of ignoring 10% of defense, it ignores 15%. The points he earned immediately go into strength, and in a nearby box, the system congratulates him for winning a hidden mask. It allows him to hide his level and basic information for 30 minutes and can be used twice a day. Considering that he doesn't want to be discovered, it was a very useful item. He equips it and the system congratulates him. Man, this boy is lazy. He killed the zombies and laid on the ground. He knew he needed to rest to reach level 5 before nightfall and challenge a certain place. Obviously, we're talking about the legendary dungeon, right? The author said it's not going to have everything and it's sticking to the same story, man. Besides the normal dungeons, there are unique ones that can only be done once and have better items. But for now, it was time to head to Lychee Village. He also dropped a precise watch and equipped it right away. With that, he continued on, finishing off a few more zombies. Walking through the village, it seemed empty. He quickly noticed a door with a massive lock. Man, but his blade was sharp. He just gave it a slice. He entered the house and started looking through the rooms. Then behind a door, he saw a red puddle. Slowly, he opened it, and at that moment, a hand came toward him. With his little sword and now level 5, he easily cut it off. But something caught his attention, and when he looked to the side, there was a hand coming through a door. Man, the zombie went crazy and broke through as well. But our boy calmly slapped each one. He kept walking through the house, and at the back, he saw a girl in a family photo. If I'm not mistaken, this is the one who was called Ji Yao earlier. He walks down the corridor saying that in this world, you can't show sympathy for anyone. He opens the system to grab a meal to eat, and as always, he sets up a banquet. Man, I've never seen an apocalyptic protagonist as chill as this one. He looks at his phone and sees that on the way to the dungeon, he'll probably reach level 5. He's tired of resting and gets up. He hears some noises and approaches the door. He knew he wasn't going crazy because he heard footsteps. Meanwhile, outside is Gaoji, the guy with the nose bandage, and Ji Yao, the girl with glasses. They could smell the good food inside and were curious to know how that was possible, while our boy was just listening from the side, preparing to leave the house. Ji Yao said the wrong move is stealing from others like that. Gaoji says they're not going to steal. They'll just ask. If he doesn't hand it over, they'll beat him up. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But our boy is just watching Ji Yao from behind, observing all this. And this guy isn't known for letting others walk away alive. Another one of them, Jika Jie, says the boy is a thief because he broke into their house. Ji Yao was angry because when her parents and brother became zombies, she locked everything up and ran away. Now she came back starving that the guy took everything. Excited, she says fine, they'll have to take a little from him too, until blood falls on her face. Man, our boy doesn't waste time and whipped the idiot right in the back. What a move, the guy was sent straight to the afterlife. This boy doesn't forgive anyone. Lindsay says he was trying to save energy but couldn't let them attract more zombies to the area. Man, he throws the katana flying and finishes off the girl too, my friend. He even kills another one. Man, even I'm scared of this protagonist.